Hey everyone, it's Luke here from LT Gaming, and welcome back to the channel. This week I've been extremely fortunate to get a hold of Manor Lords, and I've been enjoying it immensely so far. I want to go through the top 5 reasons I love this game in its early access release. Make sure to check out Tom's longer playthrough if you want more details. He decided to take that route and I thought I'd sum things up in a nice concise list, so you guys have all the information and footage that you need. After an extensive playthrough this week, I wanted to put together my first impressions of the gameplay and mechanics that jumped out at me and impressed me overall. During this time, the game reminded me a lot of another title called Ostriv, which is still in early access, but it's a city building game also that puts you in the role of a governor of an 18th century Ukrainian town, and it felt very similar in its mechanics and playstyle. But overall, Manor Lords just takes it to the next level in almost every aspect. Alright, let's jump into the top 5 reasons I love Manor Lords so far. Or should I actually say thus far to try and be a bit more authentic and medieval? Alright Luke, shut up, let's go. The first reason is immersion and authenticity. During my time with this game, it's blown me away at all the things that are going on within my medieval town. From workers actually carrying their resources, building structures around my town, to the snow melting at the end of winter and the crops growing in the fields, this game delivers immersion on a whole other level. I really enjoy how the game lets me customize all my townhouses. Some might be producing eggs while others will have large vegetable patches. The ability to customize plots when you're putting down your townhouses allows for a really good custom feel and design to your town. And then on top of that, you can go into the visit mode and walk around your town in third person. I watched my townspeople speak to each other and soaked up the living, breathing manor that I was a part of. I really enjoyed the fact that my town felt dynamic. When I started, we were in the middle of a huge forest. And then, after a lot of deforestation, my town just grew and grew. But then I was able to get foresters and replant the forest. It was just awesome. This is truly a game where your city feels like it's alive, and I have to praise them for that. And the second reason I love Manor Lords so far is the impactful choices. One thing I immediately noticed about the game was my lack of labour, and I was always having to move things around and balance my economy. It was the choice between having enough food for winter and then having enough heat, and I had to make choices to maximise my potential. This leads on into the battle mode. I will recruit militia from my town and then send them off to fight. However, during that time, my actual villagers from my town could be killed, and that has a major impact on your economy. Every unit must be individually equipped. Do I want to import bows or swords? What units do I want to have? And how will that affect my town and the money that my town brings in? And then there's a trade-off. Do I want to tax my people so they're less happy, but also I have money to supplement my forces with mercenaries? I really enjoyed the fact that my town focused on making the essentials and imported the goods and luxuries that it needed to grow. This allowed me to not have to focus on everything but specialise my town and import what I didn't have. And my town prospered and grew as a result. Then as we looked at the battle mode, if I decided to engage during a rainy season, my archers would suffer as the rain would limit their ability to use their bows. So in this game, pick your ground and pick your season. And I think as the game goes through its early access stages, there's going to be more and more of these choices to make. And next up, we have the battles themselves. Now this was one element of the game I was looking forward to, and I did think it could compare to Total War, and I'm happy to say it's very different. The major difference is that the battles take place on the same map as your town, and this helps with the immersion factor. Now you have to recruit villagers from your actual village or supplement that with mercenaries from your coffers. And once the battles take place, they are really high impact, they're so fun, and I just loved the ranged combat and then watching my troops engage. It was utterly awesome. I built a manor and was able to customize my own retinue. And then once my units engaged in battle, it felt very impactful. I really enjoyed the way that units don't lose men as quickly as in other games, and it takes a little bit of time for battles to play out. It feels more realistic. And watching the battles was kind of mesmerizing. I found myself turning on the cinematic mode and just zooming in and watching my soldiers fight for the survival of their town. And next up we have graphics and sound. First of all, the soundtrack to this game is whimsically beautiful. It really helps to immerse you in the medieval environment, and it feels like the perfect music from my town. As you get lower to the streets, you can hear the hustle and bustle of the medieval environment. I have to say, watching the rain come down in droves was almost like an ASMR moment. It just sounds great, and I found it really soothing. And the graphics in this game helped to elevate it to another level. Now, after watching all of the trailers and looking at the screenshots, I wasn't expecting much, but the graphics really blew me away. I fired up Ostriv to take a look at that and compare, and honestly, Manor Lords is just in a league of its own. I've never seen a game with such lush trees and vegetation. And honestly, if I was going to make a city builder set in medieval times, I'd want it to look like this. The graphics really work with the seasons in Manor Lords, and honestly, winter is a joy to behold. But then just as I've had enough of winter, summer comes along, and the sunshine and the lovely weather in my village really elevates the mood. So overall, graphics and sound are excellent in this game, and I think they're only going to improve. And finally, we get to options and performance. I was really impressed when I started the game to dive into the options and see the amount of customization options for my graphics. I quickly turned everything to Ultra and thought this might be a bit of a bumpy ride. However, I was greeted with probably the best performing early access game I've ever seen. In almost every situation, I was hitting 144 frames a second, and sometimes in the map mode over 200, sometimes even 400. Now I have quite a powerful PC, and that might not work for everybody, but I was very impressed when I compared this to other games that I've recently played. I will tell you, having a good performing game makes all the difference. And honestly, I think the developer deserves a lot of praise for fine-tuning it this well in early access. As I started the game, I was also presented with a whole range of options for my scenario. This level of customization is appreciated. So there we go, LT gamers, 5 reasons why I love Manor Lords so far. I can't go too much into the critical details of the game, there are definitely some things that need to be called out, but overall, it's made a very strong first impression with me. Make sure to check out Tom's video and any other Manor Lords content that we produce in the coming weeks. I've been Luke from LT Gaming, and I'll catch you on the next one.